everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Hannes. Thank you very much for dialing in. I know it's been a long day. I'm dialing in from Vienna, so it's midnight here. So if anything goes terribly wrong, then blame it on the time. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about Jira adoption, increasing Jira adoption. I think that's a topic that should be of relevance to pretty much everyone. And we're gonna talk about the app that my team and I are working on called JXL. So let's see. There we go. Yeah, I have the honor and pleasure to work on this thing of beauty, one of the fastest growing apps in the Atlassian marketplace, called JXL. And before starting JXL with my good friend Daniel, who's also in the call, actually both Daniel and I had the honor to work for Atlassian in the beautiful Sydney headquarter. And even before that, and we're now, back by 10 years, I actually worked on another app in the ecosystem called Jira Portfolio, which, as some of you may know, has been acquired by Atlassian and is now called Advanced Roadmaps. So yeah, been around for a while, and especially while working for Atlassian, but also before that and after that, I was, as you can imagine, working with a lot of different teams. And there's one thing that I can say for certain, which is that every team is different. Every team has their own requirements, their own ways of working, their own ways of thinking, really. And I firmly believe that Jira is or can be that one tool that brings all these teams together, that helps to align processes and workflows across the organization, helps to drive digital transformation across the organization. And why is Jira such a good tool for that? Because it is incredibly powerful. It has all the capabilities, all the configuration options to cater for a lot of different teams, a lot of different use cases. But at the same time, if we're honest with ourselves, if we look at our organization, we often see that it's much easier for some teams to get onto Jira. Think of engineering teams, think of services teams, but it can be harder for other teams, for teams that are more traditionally work with like Office suites, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, or with less sophisticated, less powerful productivity tools like simple task lists. For these teams, it can be harder. And why is that? Well, with great power, with great flexibility comes often a certain level of complexity, and we don't even have to talk about things like issue type schemes or screen schemes or issue type screen schemes. It's enough to look at the board. And I, as a software engineer, I've been looking at boards for the last 20 years. I'm very familiar with the concept. But many other teams aren't actually that familiar with these concepts, right? We got to keep in mind things like a board, an issue, a field, a custom field. These are very abstract concepts. They don't have any universal meaning. They may be familiar to us, but they may not be familiar to others. So what can we do to make Jira the tool not just for engineering and services teams, but for all teams? Well, lucky we have a couple of options and tools in our tool belt. I'm going to talk about some of them. The first thing is, as you may know, there isn't actually the one Jira anymore. We're really dealing with 4 different Jira products. Jira Software, Jira Service Management, the 2 classic ones, Jira Work Management, which was formerly known as Jira Business or Jira Core, and the newest addition to the product suite, which is Product Discovery. And all these Jira products cater to particular roles, to particular functions within an organization, and to particular use cases. And we really don't have to force a services team into Jira Software anymore, right? We have more tools in our tool belt, and this also shows that with Jira, with 4 Jira products, we also get 50 project templates. I just counted them earlier today. And these range from things like project management to things like IP infringements and performance reviews. So there's really a broad range of things that we have available, and I'm sure we can find a good project template for all teams. Another thing that I think we can't really stress enough is the differentiation between company managed and team managed projects. Just a quick reminder, a company managed project is a project that is centrally managed by an administrator or a team of administrators, and then cautiously handed over to the team, and the team can actually work in that project. The alternative is the team managed project. This is a project that the team can create themselves and administer themselves, and it doesn't really need this central administration anymore. Good, because it gives teams a lot of autonomy. The downside or the consequence is that it's harder to enforce and align on processes across the organization. Whether you want to pick the one or the other, I don't think there's a silver bullet answer to that. Sometimes you may have some company projects, some company managed projects, some team managed projects, or all company managed or all team managed projects. It really depends, but it's something that I think is definitely worth thinking about and being conscious and deliberate about. Another thing that has always been a bit of a passion project of mine, really, is issue hierarchy, and I think that's something that can be confusing to a lot of teams. If you think about the traditional, classic hierarchy within Jira software, that's epic, story, subtask. What we can do now, and I think is a huge addition to Jira, that we can create additional hierarchy levels on top of the epic. That could be, for example, an initiative, a program, and an objective if we follow an OKR model. But it can be anything. It just needs to be on top of the epic. And that really means that whatever high-level structure you are following in your organization, you can implement that in Jira. That has actually been around for a while in advanced roadmaps. We actually developed that 10 years ago. But what we see recently is that these additional hierarchy levels expand beyond advanced roadmaps and become available and visible also in the rest of Jira Premium. I think that's a huge step forward, and I'm quite excited about that. The other thing about hierarchy is let's focus on the epic. What is an epic? An epic is really a larger piece of work, something that spans maybe a couple of weeks, something that wants to be broken down into smaller stories. And I think something like that exists in any organization that I can think of, but it's not always called an epic, right? An epic, again, is a fairly abstract term. What we can do now in Jira Software Premium is we can actually rename this hierarchy level. So we don't need to call it epic anymore. We can call it a feature, or we can call it a theme. And the good thing is that this change actually reflects in the entire Jira UI. So if we look at the backlog, for example, the epic panel, if we rename the epic to theme, that's actually a theme panel. So this is really kind of consistently visible and available across the Jira UI, which I think is huge. Pretty recent change. If you haven't tried it out, have a look. I think it could really make a difference. And this brings me to arguably the most powerful tool that we have in our tool belt, which is the Atlassian Marketplace. I'm sure you're aware of it. It's an ecosystem of hundreds of very well engineered, very well crafted applications, ranging from fairly specific to general purpose. And I think you can find almost anything in the marketplace. And this actually brings me back to the thing that kept me busy for the last couple of years, JXL for Jira. What is JXL? JXL is the Marketplace Rising Star app of the year. But more generally speaking, it is our attempt to combine the power of Jira on the one hand with the simplicity of spreadsheets on the other hand. Wait a minute. Did he say spreadsheets? Yes, he said spreadsheets. When my co-founder and I worked for Atlassian, you can imagine we spent a lot of time thinking about how we can make the Jira experience great for everyone. And interestingly enough, we again and again landed at a concept that is almost as old as personal computing. That's spreadsheets. That screenshot is from 1979. Of course, spreadsheet apps don't look like this anymore, but they really evolved into incredibly powerful computing engines. We all know the big three, if you want, Excel, Google Sheets, Numbers. But what we saw in the last couple of years is almost the next generation of spreadsheets led by Airtable. Right? We're now calling these things table rather than spreadsheet, but many of the ideas are the same. And we also see that spreadsheets or tables, if you want, become more and more of a table stake in productivity tools. We see them in Monday, we see them in ClickUp, in GitHub, we see them everywhere. So why would Jira miss out on a great spreadsheet, on a great table experience? Well, it doesn't have to, and this is exactly where JXL comes in, which we see as the all-in-one issue editor and organizer. And on this note, I'm going to jump into a quick demo. Let me switch over to the other screen. I'm going to switch off my camera because the connection wasn't great before. And I trust that you see Jira in front of you. So we are now in a Jira project. We have JXL installed. And we see that JXL adds an additional entry to the project sidebar, which is called Sheets. I'm going to collapse the sidebar now so we have a little bit more space. And so a sheet exists within a project, and within a project we can have as many sheets as we want. So in this sense, a sheet is a little bit similar to a board, for example, where I can have multiple boards within a project. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch into the edit mode so that we see that a sheet ultimately has three things. Every sheet has a so-called, a title, a name. In this case, it's program management. And it has a so-called sheet scope. The sheet scope, which here is a JQL statement, defines the issues that are part of the sheet. We can define that as a JQL statement. We can also pick a filter. If we look at the JQL statement here, we already see one part that I think is very important to understand. We are actually pulling in issues from two different projects. We're pulling in issues from the work project as well as the OKR project. So even though a sheet exists within a project, it can actually pull in issues from multiple projects. So it's inherently cross-project. Once we have defined our sheet scope, we have this really nice JQL editor here. If you're not, it's always good to have a good JQL editor, really. Then the last and arguably most important part is the so-called column configuration. So depending on the use case you're trying to solve, you can now build your perfect table view. And you can do that by adding columns to your table, by removing columns, by moving columns around. And when I say a column is always a piece of issue data. So if we open up this dialog again, you can see we have, by now it must be hundreds of columns, where a column can be an issue field. So you see we have assignee, reporter, summary, so standard issue fields. It can be a custom field, so we support all the built-in custom fields as well as a number of custom fields that come from other third-party apps. Or it can be what we call a so-called smart column. So a smart column is something that is data that is stored on the issue, but we calculate it for you. So it's data that is present, but it's not automatically surfaced, but we can calculate it for you, like time in status is a great example, a very popular one. If we look at this sheet in front of us here, we see that we have a number of standard fields. We have the priority, we have the status, we have assets, the new feature from Jira Service Management. We have a couple of custom fields here. These are custom fields. We have story points from Jira Software, fixed versions, sprints from Jira Software, attachments. We have the various time tracking fields, the progress, comments. So pretty sophisticated sheet. We would normally save that. I'm just going to hit the cancel button. And now that we have created our sheet, we have configured our sheet, this is where the fun part starts, because what we can do now is we can start working on our issues very much like we would do in Excel in Google Sheets. So what I'm doing here is I'm navigating around with my keyboard, with my touchpad. I'm double clicking one of the cells. I'm making a change. There we go. I hit the enter button. And what I did now is I just updated that issue. And I can do that again with the priority. Let's move that to medium. With the status, this issue is done. With the color, with the assignee, you get the idea. So you have these optimized experiences, inline editing that make it really, really easy to work on your issues. And all these changes just update your issues. So if we open up this one that I changed before, you see, yes, we actually updated the issue summary, and it now says that. I can also undo all my changes. So if I actually change my mind, I can just hit the keyboard shortcut for undo, and you see I'm now reverting the changes that I made. So we're back to normal. The other thing that I can do is I can make changes in bulk. As a developer, I'm a terribly lazy person that loves bulk copy pasting, and that's also how it works in JXL. So what I can do is I can simply copy any value, select the cells I want to update, hit the keyboard shortcut for paste, and we just change the priority of, I don't know, 6 or 7 issues. So it really can't get any faster, it can't get any easier. I'm gonna undo that again so that we have our nice demo data ready. There we go. And this works across any columns. So I could copy a value from here and paste it there. You know, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but I can copy all over, and I can also copy between JXL and any other app like Excel or Google Sheets. And of course, I can do all the other spreadsheet interactions that you would expect. So this ranges from sorting, so it's just gonna sort by the status here or by the priority, and of course to filtering, like that was a bad term. There we go. Or we want to see only the highest issues, high priority issues that are currently in progress. You see, this is just a couple of clicks and really, really quick, really, really easy to do. Of course, I can do all the kind of column resizing and all the things that you would expect. I can also inline create issues. So let's say I want to do another task here, like, I don't know, fly to moon. And don't fail me now. There we go. We have a new issue. So this already is, I think, very, very useful, and it makes it really, really easy to operate on your issues. But for us, these spreadsheet interactions are really more the foundation for more advanced features that we want to build on top of this framework. These advanced features are available from up here. I'm going to start with the first one, the sum up. So I'm just going to hit this button here. And you see what we get now is we get this additional row on the very top of our table that gives me a sum up of the values below. The status one is a good one, or let's have a look at the story points. There we go. And max is not that great. I can also configure different sum up styles. So let's do the sum here versus average and median and minimum and maximum. So we see that if I make a change here, let's say I change that from 80 to 100, you will see that this number up here also goes up. So this is all live. Also combines really, really nicely with the second advanced feature that I want to show, which is grouping. So what I can do up here is I can group my issues by any issue field. Doesn't even have to be part of the table configuration. So let's say we want to group by assignee. There we go. And what we see now is we have more of these special rows that represent groups of issues. In this case, that would be Daniel's issues versus my issues versus the unassigned issues. And that also plays really nicely with inline issue creation. So if I want to create another issue for Dan's new issue, then you will see it will be automatically assigned to Daniel because I created it in the respective group. There we go. As I said, I can group by any field. So you can also group by status. There we go. I can also view my issues in hierarchy. We talked about the epic story subtask standard hierarchy of Jira, and this one is available just one click. So if I enable this option, you see that our issues are now actually organized hierarchically from the epic level down to the story level, down to the subtask level. Again, plays really, really nicely with issue creation. So if I want to create a new subtask below this story here, then of course it will be created in the right spot. And there we go. I can push it another step further via a concept called structures. So maybe just have a look into one. So what I can do in a structure is I can combine any level of any number of hierarchy levels, grouping levels, or sum up levels, or grouping and sum up levels into one system of issues. So if we look at this one here, what we have is we actually have the epic story subtask hierarchy at the bottom. What we then do is we do a grouping by project. And then we have another 3 hierarchy levels. We do the initiative, program, objective system that I mentioned before. And then at the very top, we do a sum up. If I enable that one, you'll see that we end up with a fairly sophisticated system of issues. We're starting with objectives at the very top. Below that, we have a list of programs. Below that, we have a number of initiatives. Within the initiative, we have our project. And within the project, we have the respective epics. So this is already a fairly sophisticated structure. Whether you need that or not really depends on how your organization operates, but you have the full flexibility here. One more thing to mention is that when we do hierarchy levels, it's quite similar to how it works in advanced roadmaps. You first pick the issue type that you want to map to a certain hierarchy level, and then you would specify the relationship between the different hierarchy levels. And what you can do here is you can either utilize Jira's built-in parent-child relationships like epic story and story subtask or whatever you configured in advanced roadmaps, but you can also use issue links. So that gives you complete flexibility, and you can model virtually any hierarchy that you can think of. You can also do things like nested grouping via structures. So it's a much simpler one. So we just have 2 grouping levels, one for issue type and one for assignee. If we enable this one, we end up with a nested grouping. So we first group by assignee, and then we group by the issue type. We still have the sum ups, which of course update live So we get a really, really good overview of what is going on in our organization. A feature that we added quite recently and is still in beta is ranking. So this would enable, for example, backlog maintenance use cases where you can basically rank your issues and get them into a certain order according to their priority, and do that really quickly as well. One feature that is always a bit of a fan favorite is conditional formatting. So just let me disable that one. You may be familiar with the concept from Google Sheets, from Excel. Basically, what you can do is you can define conditions on your issues, and then based on whether the condition is fulfilled or not, use coloring on either the entire table row or on individual cells. So here we would do a conditional formatting on the issue type. If we enable this, you see what we get now is we get colored rows for stories, bugs, and epics. And that can also be combined with, let's say, an unassigned warning. So you see now we have this yellow highlighting of issues that are unassigned. Of course, that's all live. So let's say I unassign these 2 issues by just hitting the delete button, then they would turn yellow as well. Yeah, I think there's a few more things that I'm gonna skip in the interest of time. But if you have more questions, then please just put them into the Q&A panel. Daniel will read them out later. Few other things. You can always export your sheet. So our general philosophy is that you shouldn't actually have to do that too often, because you should be able to do all your work in JXL, in Jira. But of course, occasionally there are good reasons why you wanna export, and be it just to get a snapshot of your data at a certain point in time. Then you can also do that in just a click. I think we actually have a fantastic export application as well. So I'm just trying to get it onto the screen. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. Here's the export. So you see, this is a really, really nice export as well. All right. Switching back to the presentation, I'm gonna switch on the camera again. Let's see if that works. There we go. Let's quickly sum this up. So when we have JXL installed in our app, we get this new entity, this new concept of a sheet. We have multiple sheets per project. A sheet is ultimately 3 things. Every sheet has a title. It has the so-called sheet scope, which defines which issues are part of the sheet. Can be a JQL statement, can be a filter. And maybe most importantly, it has a column configuration that depends on your use case, the problem that you're trying to solve. You can configure your sheet by adding, removing, arranging columns. A column can be an issue field, a standard field, a custom field, or one of many, many smart columns that we offer. Once we have created our sheet, we can actually start working on our issues. We view our issues, we inline edit our issues, we can create new issues. We highlight, sort, and filter as we would expect from a spreadsheet application. My favorite feature, we can copy paste. So bulk editing in Jira has really never been easier. And there is a number of advanced features. We talked about sum ups, we talked about grouping, we talked about the default hierarchy and the structures, and we talked about formatting, and there is more to come. So how do customers feel about JXL? Well, they feel very good about it. Some of the things that they love in particular is, I think most importantly, JXL really helps people to get stuff done, right? Like, time is really the most precious, and I think it's fair to say that editing issues has never been easier. 2 things that are really important to us is performance and scale. JXL what we looked at before was still a relatively decent sized sheet, right? I think it had 200 issues or something, but JXL works with much larger sheets. So you can load a sheet with 10,000 issues in, let's say, 5 seconds, depends a little bit on where you are in the world and your Wi-Fi connection. Once you have loaded these issues, it's snappy, it's instant. And 10,000 issues is quite a lot for a sheet. And scale, JXL runs on some of the largest Jira sites, both in cloud and in data center. It may actually run on the largest cloud site because it's used internally by Atlassian, and I think the site where it's running at Atlassian is actually the largest cloud site. And another one that is I think very important is security. I don't want to go too deep into the technical details today, but the way that JXL is constructed means that your data never leaves Jira. We don't operate a heavy backend, our own data storage like some other applications do. Our architecture is extremely lean. It is really just your browser talking to your Jira. So the data is always, we don't have any access to your data. Your data never leaves your site. And last but not least, when I think about spreadsheet applications, I always think of a Swiss Army knife, right? Like that thing allows you to do anything. And it's very similar with JXL. Like the use cases are practically endless. We have seen JXL used in all of these use cases, right? I don't expect you to read through all of them. Just trust me, there's virtually nothing in Jira that wouldn't benefit from JXL. And all of these things together, I think, lead to really happy customers. This is one of my favorite quotes. One of the things that I think about often is from an electric vehicle company for who JXL is really life changing. So yes, JXL is available on the Atlassian marketplace. It's available for all hosting models, for cloud, for data center, and also Jira Server if you need a little bit more time. And I think that's it for me for now. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a long day. This more information on our website, and if there's any questions, then please shoot them at the Q&A panel, and Daniel will read them out. Thank you very much. All right. Daniel, do we have any questions from the audience? I'll have a look at the general chat. I'm seeing a lot of encouraging feedback from people who already use JXL. Very much appreciated. Winnie is saying, very excited and hoping to train PMs on my org on JXL. Yes, so product management, definitely, or product management, but also program management, definitely a big use case for JXL. You saw these structures that we opened up before, where we had this high level view of going down from objectives to programs to initiatives, and then get this summary at the very top of it. That's a fantastic way to give a big picture overview of where you're staying, to executive levels or to leadership. And I think there's a lot of product managers who use it for that. All right. As I'm not seeing any further questions, I'm going to close it up. Thank you very much. Please reach out anytime on via the website. Daniel says he's unmuted, but no one can hear him. Yep, I can confirm that. Yes, find all the details on our website. There's also different ways to reach out to us. Please do so any point in time. We're super happy to hear your thoughts, feedback, questions, and you can find both myself and Daniel on LinkedIn and all the other channels. So thanks again, and I'll see you next year. Take care.